Okay, so I've just got something to show before the start. Okay, so that's it. Here you can see each match played in this tournament. You can see that the General participated to the qualification stage, and it was all 2-0 against Aulan, a great team, PUCBS and ISOP Machine. And then the General managed to win against every other opponent except Maya, in which it obtained a tie. Well, it obtained a tie against Promi, but it won a tie-break game in 2v2, which defines the first place of its group. And his side, Pharaon, managed to win against every opponent except against Odette with a tie. So that's it. Let's say that both of those AIs have already made a lot in this tournament with great achievements. So what do you think, the General, about what the General did during the previous stage? Are you happy with this?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. It's definitely the first time that General has made it to the finals round. The previous Davis Cup, it lost in one of the first finals rounds, so a lot better showing this time around. I was happy with especially happy with the 3-2 result against Promi,
Yeah,
getting the edge against one of the best AIs in the game,
in fact.
and also a 2-2 against Mayar. So those are some pretty good results in my opinion.
In fact, I agree. And especially when you think that the General does have pretty risky strategy, which definitely can be punished by Maya, especially. Maybe less by Promi, which is more conservative and less aggressive in early game.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think against Meyer particularly, I think if Meyer skirmishers were more coordinated together as a group, they could probably kill off some of General's villagers quicker, and General might suffer a bit more against Meyer. But if you let General get to the Castle Age and start pumping out its Knights or Eagle Warriors, and you're still in Feudal Age, then you might have lost the game.
Yeah, that's right. And I'm really
Yeah,
realizing that I made a mistake in the score because the General versus Mininote was not 2-0 but was 2-2 if I'm right. Or maybe I'm wrong, I don't
yeah,
remember. It was 2-2?
I think that sounds right.
Let me check. Yes, it was 2-2 in fact. That's funny because Mininote has a pretty similar strategy than the General.
Yeah, that's right. Both take a fast castle approach, which is why it's a risky strategy, especially in a tournament this big with a lot of AIs with good early game strategies. It'll attack pretty quickly with knights or eagle warriors in the castle age, depending on the civ that it picks. And because it doesn't have a lot of army micro, if it loses that first battle, which is what happened a few times against mini knots, then it can struggle to recover. It relies on that first attack to cause some damage. Yeah, I'd say that I think one of the strengths of the general is maybe behind the scenes and its flexibility as a lot of structure where I could add a lot of strategies quickly. Just feed it like, I want this strategy, I want these counter units, I want these number of villagers per age, and all of the rest of the code kind of adapts to whatever settings I choose. So the only thing that's keeping it from being able to do a flush or a drush is just because of the lack of army micro. Just
Yeah.
using town size attack, like is what it uses right now, would just not hold up in a tournament like this. So I'm looking forward to maybe the time when I can add the army micro and really get it to do some of the more aggressive strategies. But
Yeah.
not this tournament.
Well, I think that's actually when you are an experienced scripter, you can't make an AI going just for a full TSA. You just want to to make a perfect micro, and especially with the range units, of course.
Mm-hmm.
That was the goal of many scripters recently. And do you have a specific AI you like to test the general against?
I do like to test the general against Promi. I think it allows it to testing against Promi allows me to test the mid and late game because it's not killed too quickly, but also it has a strong enough skill that its general's early attack doesn't wipe it out. So it allows a lot for testing at various stages of the game. So Promi might be the most tested opponent. Also, it happens to be the default AI in DE, so it's
Yeah,
pretty easy to test.
in fact. Well, I have to admit that I almost never test my AIs on DE, so I don't know much how they perform. And that way I didn't test the new DE AI optimized recently by Ofu. I don't know if it performs quite well. I think
Yeah, I'm
I imagine it
looking
does.
forward to testing it.
And do you see any
Right.
difference with the previous version made by Promi?
I haven't tested a whole lot since in the DE since the Davis Cup started. I've definitely focused more on scripting within user patch just because that's what all the AIs are playing. I know that Barbarian, for example, definitely has a lot of difference between the two game versions. Same with Rehoboam. And so I'm looking forward to, once this tournament is over, being able to test against the updated DE AI and see what AFO is added to the default AI.
Hmm. Okay, so what all did I have a question for you, Leif, but you almost already answered the question, I think. Leif, how would you describe the general?
Yeah, that's what I was trying to answer actually. The It's definitely the strategies it goes for is kind of a high risk, high reward strategy. If it can survive to the Castle Age and has enough economy to pump out its knights for its early night rush or its Eagle Warriors for the Eagle Warrior rush, that can cause a lot of damage to the opponent. And it has a decent boom where it can follow it up if that fails. But it definitely has a power spike around like early mid Castle Age. And I think it's pretty decent at adapting. Maybe not in the defensive, but being able to produce decently effective counter units. And I just like that it's that I set up the stuff behind the scenes to make it pretty easy to script some changes to the AI, and it just does what I want without having to manually tell everything every time I want to change something.
Okay, so what I suggest is us to start and keep talking while the game is running. So, I have a question for you, Leaf.
Yeah.
You want the general to be blue or red? That's pretty important.
I I like the what I call the cooler colors, the blue, green, gray, and teal. I
Okay,
like that color scheme.
okay, so you will be blue, no problem.
Yep. Plus, blue is always the good side, and red's always the bad side.
Okay. Let's see. Okay, so your civilization are Aztec, Frankish, that's right?
Correct. And then Huns,
Huns
then Mayans.
and Mayans, okay. Okay,
Yep.
so I think that everything is ready. Um, yep, capture age on. I maybe just decrease a little bit the music, just to be sure that... Okay. So here we go for the 1v1. All right. Ah oui, hope. Maybe you want my IP?
Yep, that sounds good.
Yeah, that will be better. Just give me a second. I maybe will have to restart because I need to set something first in the game, if I'm right. So what is my IP? Okay, so I think in fact that I will need to restart. It doesn't matter much. Because I might have an option to select. Yep. Okay. So just let me know if everything is fine for you, Leif. Do you have my
I think
IP?
we're set to go.
Okay, so here we go. And let me know when you are in. So Leif, do you hear me?
I'm still waiting for the game to start on my end.
So you couldn't join?
Let me try again.
Yep. So maybe in case you can't join, what we can do is just letting this first game running and make some test before the game 2.
Yep, let's go ahead with that for now.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the start looks to be similar for both of the AIs, same civilian population. Pharaon managed to be faster in researching feudal age. And I think that
Yep, as
Pharaon,
we'd expect.
yeah, and I think that Pharaon goes for a range unit strategy. It built its barracks. And it's close to find blue. Okay, that's it. It did find its opponent. And this is confirmed. Pharaon goes for 2 range units. Okay, I see Leif. Well, I think that we will need to test after this match, this game I mean.
Yep, we can do that.
Okay, so Pharaon is actually coming with ranger units and a bunch of villagers. It will attempt to build a tower in the forward gold. But fortunately
Yeah, so
for
this
the
would be the this will be the big point of the game if Pharaon can do enough damage against General before General gets to Castle Age.
Yep. Actually, it didn't make any damage, I would say. Even the tower is not finished for some reasons. And I like the fact that the general went for a second mining camp in the back of the town. Something that Eagle's Revenge wouldn't have done, of course. And
I
Pharaon...
don't think Eagle's Revenge goes for a tower either.
Yeah, in fact. And
Though the
Pharaon...
tower's not really helping too much in this game.
Okay, so we've got men at arms for Pharaon to defend. And the tower is broken. Well, it was not a finished tower anyway.
Yeah, so General should be in a good spot here. We'll just see what it does against the man-at-arms switch. I think it's coded to switch into adding in some man-at-arms of its own, as that's its primary man-at-arms counter, since it already has a bunch of barracks.
Okay, it makes sense. At least it would help. And we've got forging researched, which should help a bit more. Okay, now it's all about the ability of Pharaon to defend with its bunch of men-at-arms, but I'm scared it won't work because if they are sent one by one on the Eagle's army.
Yeah, and if they're outnumbered as well, that's not going to do a lot of damage. Yeah, so you can see the man-at-arms upgrade came in. We'll see if General starts making some man-at-arms.
Yes.
Even got longswords upgrade coming.
Yeah, longswordsman. That's gonna be too much. Well, I would say that it was a first fast game.
Yep. That's kind of how a lot of matches for the General goes.
Yeah, Pharaon is really too far from researching castle at this point.
One weakness that the General does have is that in early mid Castle Age, it won't switch off the primary unit that it trains. So if the enemy successfully counters the Eagle Warriors or the Knights, then the General won't ever switch off of them until it gets to late Castle Age. So it can be pretty vulnerable in that state. It's kind of a trade-off of you can either like over counter to your opponents and then lose all of the upgrades you tried to do for your first unit, or you can counter the enemy properly, or you can stick with the first unit that you already have upgrades for. It can be a hard balance sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I would say that Pharaon was lucky with its lumber camp, which were not exposed, kind of far from the TCs. It helps to be not too much hurt by those eagles which keeps going on the farms. But without farmers,
Yep.
what can Pharaon do anyway?
Right, it's not going to get to Castle Age without farms.
Yep. Okay, so I think that we already can go for a score update. Okay, so I will give it an end. And I think that Pharaon is not the best to harass its opponent in pretty early game compared to Tribal or Maya, for example, or Shadow, which is a beast in this.
Yep.
Okay, so it was a punishment for this first game. Maybe we can do a test to see if you can join this time. I think that if I do that way.
Yeah, I'm just saying hi to everyone.
Hello, Senior Elephant. You're welcome. Yep, already a victory for DC General. So are you already in the screen to wait the start, Leif?
Yep, attempting to join.
Okay, so I will start right now and let's hop. So I guess that it didn't work once again, Leif. Oh, I forgot to put capture edge, sorry about this. Yeah, no luck. I don't know if you can join the game by another way. You can try, Leif, who knows? But I did check and the IP I gave you is a good one. Well, it's supposed to be the good one. Maybe be sure that there is no space before or after the IP. It sometimes can be a problem. So let's focus on the game. We've got the Frankish versus the Frankish and Aztec versus Aztec. I've got the feeling that red didn't find its second boar. Yeah, I agree with. That's unfortunate. Oh, Pharaoh managed to have a decent feudal age time this time, decent enough to go for a trash. Oh, both trash. Okay. Both trash
Oh boy.
because, yeah, because the feudal age time is decent enough for Pharaoh.
Well, I haven't tested anti-trash a whole lot, so we'll see how this goes.
Okay, so here we go. At least the trash did work pretty well against Barbarian. And let's see what's gonna be the reaction from the General when it sees some towers being built just near its town. Okay, actually no reaction from Green.
It's possible we'll just see the typical old reaction of villagers coming to knock it down once it's built.
I know that Promi, for example, or Illuminati do have just perfect reaction against tower rush. I remember having seen Yggdrasil in big trouble when they attempt to trash against those two AIs. But some other AIs like Zord or Barbarian are not that good in defending against trash, I would say. Especially Zord, which does almost nothing. ISF machine do have absolutely no reaction either. Okay, so both of the general are researching Castle Age.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. As far as I remember, the general doesn't really have any counter rush code, but it might be able to run past the towers and prioritize attacking the town. I'm curious to see.
That would be the best it can do, I think. Because home Pharaon does have absolutely nothing to defend. Okay, so blue will have its second lumber camp in danger. Okay, so let's see the reactions.
Well, I can see it does have a reduction of the town size against trushes. I don't know if that actually makes a difference or not. Yeah, TS is short for town size, which is the distance from the town center where the AI will react to enemy buildings. And it also is the radius from the town center where the AI will construct its own buildings.
Yep.
So it's a strategy to basically ignore the towers until it has some military.
Okay, so at least it makes the military busy while Pharaon is quite safe home.
Yeah, so as long as it tries to send its military units against the towers, it's probably going to be good for Pharaon. That's why a lot of AIs can be really weak against them. At least the general goes for knights and eagle warriors instead of like crossbows, which can knock down the towers if they get enough of them.
Yep.
And the general does have some code to react to towers that are surrounded by walls, so that it should, instead of trying to target the towers, should target the walls instead. Some AIs can be really vulnerable to that.
Okay, in fact I see the eagles prevented to attack the walled tower.
Yeah, it's possible that having multiple towers are confusing the code. Maybe I'll have to test it some more. Yeah, basically the code is that if it detects a tower that's surrounded by walls, it orders the units to instead target walls directly next to the tower. And also switches their stance so they don't retarget against it. Sometimes it can be an overreaction where the units are like stuck against the palisade walls, but it's better than just units idling against the walls trying to reach the tower but failing.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, green looks to be kind of lost in where building the second TC.
Lots of idle builders.
Okay, they just resigned in these attempts. No, they keep trying to build the TC all at the same position. Okay, but the tower should be down soon.
I think the key thing to look at here is the KD ratio is just so bad for general right now.
Yep, especially yellow. Well, green managed to almost clean up its town. At least there are 3 remaining towers from red, but its economy is no more touched. But it's another story for blue, unfortunately.
Yep. One slight nice thing for blue is that yellow is going for a lot of pikemen, which aren't going to do a lot against the Aztecs.
I think it's just overreacting to the fact that green does have some knights.
Right. It's really hard for an AI in team games to not react to the wrong AI.
Yep. Because when you focus the target player, the problem is the target player sometimes change.
Yep.
And it's probably what happened.
Yeah, both general players on the back foot right now.
Okay, so it looks to be a 1-1. Oh, reduce TS against trash, said blue.
Yep. And it's been so long since I've looked at that code, I don't even know if it works. It's probably one of those codes where it's like, oh, this sounds like a good idea, but then you never test it. See if it actually is effective.
So now you know.
Yep.
Okay, so red is not too far from researching Imperial Age at this point, same for yellow.
Right. I'm actually expecting the general team to resign here pretty soon.
Well, a double trash doesn't happen that much for Pharaon. I'm surprised it did happen this game. At least it worked quite fine against the General.
Yep. Works well pretty well against AIs that aren't prepared for it, like general.
Okay, I think that it's time to give it an end, like the game before. It looks to be finished.
One thing that Pharaon could do is not do a trush next time so we don't have to see the chat messages from Blue again.
Well, be sure that the pocket won't rush anyway.
And I'll be interested to see what Pharaon does for team games. The General does have some coordination where the pocket is somewhat encouraged to attack with its teammate, but it's definitely not optimized as much as it could be.
Well, the pocket tends to target the target of the closest ally. That's the way it's defined. But
That makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I
But
think in
it's
general it takes it tries to help out the I can't remember if it's the flank with the lowest score or the lowest population. It's one of those two. And so it
that
can
could
actually
be,
it can switch over time.
yeah.
Which
Anyway,
could be good or bad.
well, I think that attacking wall AI attacking, well, wall player attacking the same opponent is uh, used to be a good option, I would say. I think that Shadow used to do something like that, especially the pocket which attack all together the opponents. And I think that they just attack the higher score, something like that.
Yeah, that can definitely punish a booming pocket if they're not prepared.
Yep.
That's another disadvantage of the general using TSA is that there's not a way to it can be pretty hard to target a specific opponent instead of targeting the closest one. The biggest challenge is assisting allies rather than attacking the enemy town, because TSA would only react against enemy buildings.
Yeah, that's always pretty boring, I would say.
Yep. So once I get some DUC going for general, I'll be able to do a lot more with ally assistance and targeting specific areas.
Okay, so the game started. Um, the general will have Frankish as pocket. I think that you might be happy with this.
Yep,
And it's
definitely
gonna
better than
be,
Aztecs.
yep, and it's gonna be the same for Frankish pocket. Huns versus Aztec, each side. So the question now is how many Pharaon is gonna be trash this time?
Yep, between 0 and 2, I suppose.
Yep, exactly. Well, I would say that
Well,
it
the
should be more 1 than 0, but definitely 2 shouldn't happen that often. Well, at the beginning it's defined by a random number, and then it can be reset in case the feudal age time is gonna be too bad. So that's almost the conditions. And the
do
randomized
you know what
number
the
is fixed regarding the civilization, of course.
okay? So Koreans get a higher number then, I suppose,
Exactly, yeah.
because that's all that they can do in the user patch version, basically. I'm kind of pleased with all of the changes that HD and DE gave the Koreans. give them more personality.
Yep. So
Something else I
Fireball,
haven't gotten.
sorry, Fireball asked me a question. There is no specific coordination concerning the trash. The Thrasher is just gonna attack its closest enemy. And I definitely could do something special for the pocket of the Thrasher flank. That could be interesting. It opens the way to many strategies. I think that definitely the pocket just could boom while the flank is winning its trash. That could be funny.
Yeah, what would you say is the biggest difference between Pharaon and Tribal?
The biggest difference? Well, I would say that the first difference is the fact that Tribal is more aggressive than Pharaon. Pharaon can go for archers plus skirmishers, while Tribal just go for skirmishers. In addition, Pharaon will trash while Tribal can build one tower that it will wall while it's attacking. And there is a difference in the hit and run of the range units. It's a different code. And moreover, I think that Pharaon tends to be stronger in late game and tends to boom a bit more than Tribal.
I see. Well, we haven't seen that range unit micro for Pharaon yet in these matches.
Yep. And I think that Odette can be better than Pharaon. That's why I'm kind of sad with the fact that Pharaon stole the qualification to Odette in some way.
Hmm. That's the problem with having too many AIs in your own tournament. They just eliminate each other.
Yep. But I would say that the worst happened when in Davis Cup 5 when Tribal had to face Yggdrasil in the semi-final. Okay, so it looks like red goes for a trash. And purple go for a skirmisher and archer rush.
Okay. I was a bit concerned about blue, which could be Essex could be vulnerable to some cavalry or some towers.
I was wrong. None of Pharaon is trashing, but Pharaon has built one tower and is rushing with archers. So we've got no trasher this time.
Yeah, well, let's see if Red's tower can actually do a whole lot. It's not really attacking anything or blocking anything, besides maybe a wood line and some stone.
Yep, of course we've got one tower built for red, which maybe can help to survive against teal. Maybe teal will focus on that tower, despite the fact that it's walled actually.
Yeah, maybe in this instance we'll be able to see the code to target the stone wall in action. Yeah, there we go. This might be even a case where you don't want the knights to target the stone wall, but
well, it's actually focusing the stone wall.
Yep.
Unfortunately. And I don't know what purple is actually doing.
Well, that could make it vulnerable for blue to attack.
it's attracted by something in Yellow's town. I don't know what. Okay, green is actually coming on purple right now. Purple, which is actually suffering a lot.
Could be something good for general.
Yeah, yellow attempt to help. But green is already doing a lot of damage.
If general can keep the Pharaon pocket busy trying to defend and react, that'll probably be a good thing for general.
Yeah, other side, I would say that red is doing fine. Oh, it managed to build a second tower for some reasons. So actually yellow does have a better boom than green, with almost 11 more villagers. It's booming with 3 TCs, but it's gonna be all alone against 2 players, I think. Well, bad timing for yellow, which is sending its knight while it's actually attacked by green at home.
Yeah, that could be bad. I am slightly impressed that green is going for yellow. Sometimes if it notices too much population for an enemy, it won't decide to attack.
Oh, okay.
As we saw in some earlier matches in the Davis Cup, it includes civilian population in its decision whether to attack enemy civilian population.
Ah, so, yeah, I see.
Sometimes they can be too passive if the enemy is booming.
Okay, so yellow is keeping focused on blue while green is coming on yellow once again.
Looks like yellow's going for blue as well.
Yeah, green managed to do some damage on blue. But look at green kill ratio, just amazing. 66 kill against 8 lows.
Yeah, that's why it's fun being a pocket. You just get to kill everything.
Yeah.
Well, I guess yellow's boom is pretty much taken out.
Green's
got the big acre advantage now. Too bad teal's still focused on those walls. Someday I'll improve it to be a little bit more smart instead of just a stopgap measure to make sure it doesn't just die to towers.
Okay, blue is eventually coming to attack after having boomed 3 TCs.
So Esty, have you discussed what happens if there's a 2-2 tie in the finals round? After
Sorry?
the first 4 games. the first 4 games in the quarterfinals round is a 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4.
Yeah.
The weapon happens after that if it's tied 2-2.
Oh, after it's 2v2, 4v4, and 1v1 as this 7th game.
Yeah, so that should be exciting.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see if this will go beyond 4 games. Or maybe it's already been decided.
Well, actually Red is all alone. I think that the Meso civilizations are harder to face for Pharaon. The Eagles are really strong against those range units. So definitely I think that in that match Pharaon wins only if it does Thresh. But I don't see any possibility to win with something else here.
Well, in the 4v4, there'll be 2 Meso civs. So we'll see how many Thresh strategies are used in the 4v4.
Yep.
I definitely do plan to expand beyond 4 civs for General at some point. That's one of my goals, as well as adding DUC.
Yeah, with at least one new strategy maybe for those new civilizations.
Right, there's actually, the General does have a crossbow rush strategy, but it never uses it because it's not as strong as the other 2.
Well, I remember the old version of the General. When I say old, I mean the version which did participate to the AI ladder.
Right, yep.
With some strategies, in fact, consisting in fast castle crossbows. And definitely those strategies you are actually doing are way better, I would say. More effective. Okay, so 2-1 for the General. Well, I just need, let's say 5 minutes break. So, Leif, I'm back in 5 minutes.
All right. Does anyone have any questions I can answer in the chat? Do we have anyone here watching the tournament for the first time? To finish my thought when talking about adding the civilizations, I think for General, my plan is to, I'll definitely add some new strategies, especially once I can do the flesh going with some better DUC. But also just, I think sometimes when you're managing a whole bunch of different civilizations, it can be sort of a jack of all trades, master of none kind of situation where all the civilizations are okay, but not excellent. And I'm trying to focus on optimizing these first 4 civilizations before moving on to the rest. Any bold predictions? Bold predictions. My bold prediction is that Pharaon will have at least one trush the next game. That's not bold. I'm curious to see if in this next match we'll have some pockets going across the side of the map and attacking the other pocket, catching them by surprise. And hopefully the general doesn't have Aztecs Mayans as the pockets. I'm curious to see if maybe we'll have in the 4v4, Pharaon might have like a super pocket like that booms really well to Imperial Age. And then we might have a comeback with Pharaon to make it 2-2. Which strategy was harder to implement? My Eagle Rush or Night Rush? The Night Rush was the first strategy that I did. And then the Eagle Warrior Rush was added so that Aztecs and Mines could have something to do. I patterned it quite a lot after the Eagle's Revenge AI, which I'm happy to say it can beat fairly reliably now. I would say in a lot of ways, the Night Rush was a bit more straightforward because I had more experience in strategies that used it. But the Eagle Warrior Rush is probably the first one that I actually somewhat optimized because in the previous Davis Cup, I had to go against Eagle's Revenge. And so I spent a lot of time trying to match Eagle's Revenge, just match its strategy and optimize it as much as possible so that it could be faster. And now I'd say that the Eagle Warrior Rush and Night Rush are probably about equal, maybe the Night Rush being slightly stronger. It really depends on which game version is being played because the Eagle Warrior Rush can actually defend itself in Feudal Age with a few Eagle Scouts, but you can't do that in user patch. So the Eagle Warrior Rush actually tends to be a little bit stronger in Little Kingdoms and DE, especially since the Castle Age Eagle Warriors are stronger and have more of an attack bonus versus cavalry. Oh, awesome. Yeah, the Knights and Eagles can eat up skirmishers pretty quickly. It also might be a reason why the general could go 2-2 against Maiar. One thing I secretly hope is that the general is a good AI that can go against all of the AIs that tend to use skirmishers. It's kind of like a hard counter to those strategies. Because I think a lot of the skirmishers are really easy for AIs to script for because they're cheaper and they tend to counter a lot of units, and AIs can kind of struggle to do a lot of damage quickly. But I think a lot of scripters are looking forward to the meta switching off of skirmishers onto another unit. I think I'm starting to see archers do a bit more. I'd love to see men-at-arms and scouts become about as strong as they are in human matches, where we could see a lot more of the men-at-arms and scouts being part of the AI meta. I think for this tournament, I'm just really excited to see all the new AIs that are really strong. As Esty mentioned earlier today, Maiar's eliminated from reaching the semifinals for the first time. And it just shows how many strong AIs are competing this time around. I came back to scripting around the time when the Davis Cup 5 was being streamed. And that's kind of what got me back into scripting after being away from the community for a few years. But the Davis Cup 5, while it was very well run and really exciting, it was my first like big tournament that I put my AI into. It also didn't have a lot of really strong new AIs. The semifinals was basically a rerun of the Davis Cup 4, except for the fact that Yggdrasil made it to the finals in Davis Cup 5. But now we have a whole new generation of AIs that use a lot of DUC. It's really fun to see the macro being really close to human player, or even sometimes exceeding it. I'm also curious to see in other tournaments where how other AIs can do on other maps besides Arabia. That's something I'm kind of curious to see in the AI ladder is showing off other maps and getting a better mix of AIs that are stronger across multiple types of maps. Yeah, that's a good question. When I was working on my Eagle Rush, did I discuss my ideas with ER in any way? Sadly, I don't think ER was all that active at the time, so I didn't reach out to him. I haven't had a lot of one-on-one conversations with him, but it would be kind of fun. Do I plan to add any walling anytime for General? That's something I'd love to add, especially quick walling. That would be fun to add because, for example, the General could really use that with its fast castle strategies as some sort of defense. That's definitely down somewhere on the list, but something I definitely plan to add at some point. Also, I'd love to be able to make human-like walls with a combination of buildings and palisades. Just to mirror human play a lot more. But I think walling is one of the most difficult things for an AI to master. Yeah, I want to master some other things in the AI first. Getting the DC down is important. Adding flesh strategies. Adding personality to each of the different generals is something I've wanted to do for a long time, where you have unique chat messages and so on. Adding support for other maps. There's a lot of different things I plan to add, and sadly, things get in the way of me having the time to add those things in.
Okay, I'm back.
Hey, Esty.
Sorry for having make you wait.
Just adds more anticipation for the next matches.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next one is a 4v4. Okay, so here we go. All right. Who is gonna be the flank? Who is gonna be the pocket? Your
Looks
pocket.
like General got Huns and Mayans as pocket.
Exactly. Frankish Aztec.
I'm happy enough. I don't trust in the trash. That should not become the new meta.
Okay, so Pharaon did trash twice in one unique game. I would have preferred to see Pharaon trash in 2 games by one player each. It would be probably more effective. Anyway, we've got Mayan versus Frankish aside, and Huns versus Aztec other side. The ideal would be Pharaon, the orange player, trashing the Aztec. If I had to choose between purple and orange, because I think that definitely as Aztec General is way more dangerous than with Huns or Frankish as flank.
I find this player setup pretty interesting. It sort of looks like the like if you look at blue, it has to go through orange's town to reach yellow. It's almost a straight line. Usually it's more like a semicircle arrangement of players.
Yeah, that's right. What makes me scared is the civilian population of Orange. I think that it did have some troubles. It lost one villager. So this
Villager
start
died to a
is...
boar, maybe.
Yep, exactly. There were a bone just under the TC. Nothing good. So if we've got a trash, it would come from purple, I think. As Aztec pocket, Pharaon should go for a boom.
Boom into Fast Imperial with the late Eagle Warriors.
Exactly. So that's why purple needs to survive the time required. And purple goes for a barrack, so we won't have any trash once again.
Yay!
It seems good for the general.
Looks like blue might have also lost a villager at some point. So maybe that makes blue and orange even.
Blue wanted to make something fairer, I think.
Looks like blue lost, might be villager, probably not the scout as far as I can tell. I was looking at the KD for blue.
Yep.
Blue still has a scout, so maybe blue and orange are even, both losing a villager to the boar.
Okay, so
I like the tower for blue. Nice aggressive spot.
I don't see... Okay, green is eventually researching Castle Age a bit late compared to the other players. Around 18 minutes. Which is definitely not a disaster, but could be better. And purple
Right.
is trying something here.
Trying to, okay. Finally spotted green's second mining camp. Looks like purple hasn't found it yet.
Okay, so spearmen are coming to support the skirmishers, and Purple managed to kill some villagers eventually.
Hopefully we'll see Teal come to Green's defense. Might be what's needed at this point. And the good news is that if Teal decides to attack, they'll go through Green's town, which is the only way that General defends at this point. Defends the ally, is just by going to attack the enemy and happening to go across the enemy on the way.
Well, yellow is making blue kind of busy, preventing the harassment to start for orange. Okay, eagles are coming from the Mayan, the grey Mayan player.
You see.
Sorry, Leif, I've got some issues to hear you. Alright, and during this time red is booming, but purple is gonna start to suffer right now. Same for orange. I would say that this game is once again turning good for the general. Well, green was slowed down. It does have 35 civilian population, which is quite low compared to the other players. But at the same time, orange is almost dead. And I'm scared that yellow is gonna be the next target pretty soon now. Okay, red is close to be Imperial Age.
Yeah, we'll see how strong red gets to become.
In fact, we will have our key moment. Because purple is really dying now. So definitely red needs a military population right now.
It's also fortunate for our general that they've got knights on that side of the map, which can do a little better against the eagles.
Yeah, that's right. And that's a lot of knights. Well, yellow is untouched at this point, which is something good for Pharaon. Okay, maybe we can see a comeback with yellow attacking blue in hurting it a lot, while red is having 44 civilian population. Yep. Okay, red decide to attack blue. Killing the Aztec is always a good option. Okay, Grey and Teal are researching Imperial Age. So is Yellow.
Yep, it's the critical timing.
Yep. This score is actually at the advantage of Pharaon. I have faith on Pharaon in Imperial Age. It's sad to see that Purple didn't build its new TC at a better, safer position. Okay, so Elite Eagles Warriors for Grey. But red does have
Yeah, it's looking like
the upgrade advantage.
it's basically down to all the pockets facing off against each other at this point, with maybe green being able to do some damage. But Pharaon's pockets are definitely looking stronger right now.
Well, it's basically... Well, Pharaon is almost playing as two players against 2 player and a half, I would say. And red is eventually attacked home.
We'll see if Teal can do some damage here.
Yep, General is taking the lead once again. And
I think as long as Teal and Gray can catch up to red and yellow, it might be General's game.
Yep. Here we've got the yellow Paladin attacking Grey, while red is retreating home, but I'm not convinced by the fact that it does have 8 Eagles Warriors and Jaguars. Okay, but red managed to defend quite well with 70 military population. The military population increased probably because it lost a few civilian population during this assault from Teal, and red can counterattack. This time the target is green, and yellow is... well, yellow is in a very good position against grey. Orange will probably never come back. I don't see any TC for it. Okay, yes, we've got one TC which is built in Blue Town. Okay, so it looks like Pharaon can eventually win a game without having trashed. Maybe, but the game is not finished.
That's what it's looking like. When it comes to mid-late Imperial games, for whatever reason, General doesn't really do a good job of maintaining military population.
Yep.
Could be a lack of military buildings, I'm not exactly sure.
Well, I would say that recently Pharaon did have the same problem, and with the help of Marathon, we discovered that the issue with Pharaon was the lack of wood. And when I fixed this, Pharaon went way stronger in Imperial Age. So maybe just a lack of one resource can disturb the world economy. So maybe you can have a look about this.
Yeah, well, looking at the resources right now, seems like General has way too much food, so...
Yeah, in fact, definitely. Maybe
Yep.
the General tends to sell wood, something like that.
Yeah, another thing that's possible is I just need to recalibrate the gathering percentages. General actually has a dynamic gathering system where it adds up all the stuff it's trying to train and save up for, and then calculates the percentages dynamically from that.
I see, yeah.
So, but also usually those kind of calculations have to be like fiddled with to balance properly. So, I find that working on like the late game is one of the hardest things to work on because half of the games never make it that far. So you have to have an opponent that is roughly equal that has similar strategies to you.
Yeah, this is right. Well, you always can test 4v4 General versus General. Yeah, that can be a way to fix
Right.
this. But I agree, when you've got issues in Imperial Age, it's always boring to make tests which has to length a full game. Okay,
Yeah,
so
but it looks
slowly,
like
slowly
both of the
orange
general
is,
pockets are around like half of the full pop now, so or even
yeah,
lower.
in fact. Okay, so we can give it a few minutes more, but I think that the game is over. Yeah, definitely this game is over. I think that we can give it an end. We've got red and yellow attacking actually in the direction of teal. So it's definitely a close match.
Yeah, close match.
2-2 being the score.
Yep, about as close as it can be. This next match will be the 2v2. We'll see if we have two trust strategies again.
Yep, 2v2 and then 4v4. We are guaranteed to have at least 2 more games. Well, definitely I think that the game was over when Purple had that terrible feudal age time. Okay, so back to a 2v2. So no surprise, you've got Aztec plus Frankish.
Looks like we might have two Civ mirror matches.
Oh, hello, up, down, left, right, A, B. Nice to see new faces around. Yes, I use some eco balancing fireball, and it definitely needs to be done carefully because it can just destroy your AI. I've got some specific adjustment with the percentage gathering percentage, um, depending on what the AI wanna research, for example. And of course, I've got some basic balance like, oh, I got too much wood. Let's sell this. But well, it can be improved, of course. Okay, it looks like this time we don't have any disaster in this dark age. Even yellow did find its own boar, which is a good point. So red did find green, yellow is gonna explore in the blue's direction. Sounds good. And red is gonna trash. And the Aztec player is just failing in building its lumber camp. It's an issue I already noticed before. So it can be interesting to see that 2v2 when one Pharaon only is gonna trash. It might offer a close game. That's gonna be a good tower for green, forcing Pharaon to change its direction in the way it builds the towers around the enemy. That tower is definitely not a good one. Okay, it has been deleted.
I think I'm just happy to see that only one tower Russian player is happening this time.
Yep, in fact. I think that it can offer a pretty close game. Especially when I see that yellow is really not effective in its rush. He's gonna be punished.
Hey, there we go.
Oh,
Kind
it
of got some
sends
default villager defense.
Yep, and I see that it attempts to build a tower, but it's kind of too late. This is too late. Okay, so that's already a lot of towers for red, but none of the towers are walled.
Well, the good news for green is not a lot of villagers have died against red's towers. We'll see if it stays that way.
Yeah, I think that the tower, the defensive tower built by green was in a pretty good position. Or the lumber camp and the mining camp would have been touched by the trash. Well, I not already noticed in the previous games that the men at arms tends to be sent to the early for some reasons. It happens once again with those 3 men at arms sent on red.
Yeah, I wonder why. Red certainly doesn't need the help.
In fact, well, it can do it for the pocket. I saw in the game before the men at arms sent to the pocket. It makes no sense. Okay, so there is some idle time for green. Actually, which is overall in a bad situation. Okay, blue is sending its eagles.
I was wondering when they get sent over. It's taking a while.
Yeah, but I think that the timing is not too bad. Yellow is researching Castle Age just at this moment.
It could be a pretty vulnerable time.
Yep, it is. And green is not too far from cleaning up its map, but eventually I think that the villagers are hurt a lot. The two remaining towers on the lumber camp are hurting the villagers, actually.
Right.
Well, I feel like it's gonna be a 1v1 at the end between red and blue, between the Frankish and the Aztec.
Yeah, that'll certainly be interesting. Let's look at the population. Blue seems to have the advantage here, but we'll see what happens. One thing I'm curious to see is Blue's added in some longswords to go against Yellow's man-at-arms, which I like, but I'm not sure if the AI will switch off of them when it tries to target against Red. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the Castle Age counter rules are a bit more hard-coded. Don't react quite as much until it can get the full economy going.
Let's see. Well, yellow is destroyed. So it would be a good timing for blue to switch the target. It does have the military advantage.
Yeah, I wish it would. Well, I'm happy at least that Blue had a ram for that tower in
Ah,
Yellow's
yes,
town.
it's something I noticed, in
Otherwise, it would
fact.
have been stuck for several minutes.
Yep, it attacked the palisade. Okay, so here we go.
All right,
Let's see if the red army is gonna be destroyed.
Blue has the advantage. We'll see if it's enough.
Yeah, definitely the advantage, which helped a lot. At least we got 2 monks, which went to help. But blue is researching Imperial Age. And now we know that red is its target, so I think that the next assault can be the final one. Here I would have liked to see red attack blue.
Yep, it had the hill advantage, and knights are pretty good against eagles and long swordsmen. But the fact that blue is going to Imperial should mean they'll switch to. I think they'll switch back to eagles, and probably should mix in some pikemen as well.
In fact, oh, okay. Red is eventually researching Imperial Age too. It managed to boom with 4 fortresses. But let's see, it can be too late. Okay, the assault is starting from blue. This is scary.
Yep, if red can face this first attack from blue, then it could turn into a very good match. It's supposed to be the big pivotal point of the game.
Okay, so in fact, blue goes for Eagles Warriors as the main unit. And I would say that green is back in the battle. Well, the game is over. Red does have absolutely nothing to defend. It did have one castle, but in the opposite side. Okay, it's over.
Looking like it's 3-2.
Okay, GG. At least Pharaon does have some good resign rules. And once again, the General takes the lead in the score. It's the third time.
Pretty close here. I have another 4v4,
Exactly.
which Farron might be good at. We'll see.
Well, General does have its revenge maybe here.
Already got its revenge in the 2v2.
Oh yes, I just realized that the 2v2 and 4v4 were the two games in which Pharaon did win the first. So it was supposed to be an advantage. Okay, so here we go. So this time we've got Aztec plus Frankish pocket for the General versus Aztec plus Frankish against for Pharaon. And we've got a Huns war aside and a Mayan war other side.
That'll be interesting.
So we saw that trushing doesn't guarantee the victory for Pharaon. And what? Okay, yeah, I was gonna say I wouldn't be surprised if that tower is gonna be walled. It's regarding the distance with the other towers. Okay, let's say that this trash is just perfect for purple.
Yeah, teal's got some knights, but there's too many towers by this point.
Yeah,
Oh, and
definitely.
blue's actually coming to help teal, but still, I think I'd rather have blue maybe attacking purple directly.
Well, at least some blue eagles came to follow the purple which were escaping.
Yeah, that could cause some damage.
Oh, and other side, I would say that yellow managed to build an interesting tower on the Gray's Gold, making the eagles busy.
Wow.
Well, this game turns fine for Pharaon.
Yep, I'd agree with that.
I wouldn't be
Looks like the
surprised if
pockets
we've
are
got
coming to
another
help.
game after this one.
Yep, but it's the 1v1, so it should be shorter.
Yeah, the first one we won was very short.
Hopefully it turns out exactly the same way.
Yeah, in fact, this yellow's tower is the best thing yellow could do.
It's also looking like maybe my code to try and target the walls only works if it's the target player or something like that.
Well, it's hard to say. Look at blue on purple's world tower.
Yeah, that's what happens if you don't have any code to counter walls around towers at all. And so it looks like I still have some chance to improve mine.
Okay, so blue comes with one ram.
You know, hopefully that ram goes for the clump of 5 towers instead of the one with walls. Because I'm guessing if it goes for the one with just the walls, it's just going to stop.
Well, I think that this world tower is the closer among the towers. So in fact, the palisade is attacked. So rams are doing the job.
Well, that's good. But I think the general pockets have lost the key period of time where they're supposed to attack the enemy flanks.
Well, and red is already in Imperial Age. Okay, so we've got no more purple tower at this point. So the
But
harassment
instead
can
we've
start.
got red eagle warriors.
Yeah, for some reasons red looks to target grey. So purple should die quite fast. Well, for some reasons blue and teal left, retreated. Okay, blue and green
I am
are
surprised how
researching.
General has the bigger score. And
Yeah,
has
for some
a
reasons.
while.
Okay, surprisingly purple didn't die, and in the contrary red is now pushing teal. Other side, orange started a big harassment a few minutes ago and keep doing this. So basically Pharaon is dominating the both flanks at this point. And yellow tower is eventually down after 40 minutes of the game.
Probably too late at this point.
Okay, teal is down to one population, which is one archer. So let's say that teal is dead. It doesn't have any more TC. Next target is gonna be blue. At this point, green can be scary with 62 military population.
Yeah, we'll see how much blue can hold on against red. Green's going to have to do some damage really quickly to get back into the game.
Yeah, it looks to be over anyway. Our range does have the paladins. Well, green is trying hard actually against orange.
At least General's putting up a fight in this match.
Well, purple is not too far from researching Imperial Age eventually. Well, not too bad from blue. In fact, it managed to survive. And purple enters the dance with a bunch of knights. An interesting movement would be to attack green at this point.
Yeah, that might be a good move.
Well, green managed to kill orange. Good job.
Might be a good move for green to try and attack red a little bit. Might be too soon though.
Yeah. Well, green is the one having had some issues with the boar in the Dark Age. It eventually managed to be the top player of its team.
Looks like orange recovered though.
Yep, I think that it's partly because green had to retreat a bit, and it just gave the time needed for orange to come back.
Yep. No, seeing that green seems to have the same issues with too much food, not enough gold.
Yep.
I don't know if that's because of trade not being enough or just not enough gold miners. Might be trade at this point of the game.
Well, it does have 4 villagers on gold, 41 on lumber camp, and 56 on food. So definitely 4 on gold is not enough.
Yeah, well, how many gold mines, like gold locations, does it have left?
Well, you've got 1 mining camp in the back. Yeah, it's definitely a problem with the gathering percentage, definitely.
Might be overcompensating for how many gold trade carts it has. It's like I have enough trade carts, I don't need any gold miners anymore, which is obviously incorrect.
In fact, it does have 31 trade carts.
Anyway, shouldn't be too much longer now.
Okay, even yellow is back in the game. Yellow is oust for some reason. Okay, no more oust eventually. Okay, so it looks like 4v4 is a good setting for Pharaon against the General. It's confirmed with this second victory.
Yep, it's probably something in common for General as a whole. I think it also struggled against Maiar in team settings.
Well,
Might
we've
have
got
also
our...
lost to Promi in the 4v4.
Yeah. So we've got our sexy 3-3. So...
Yep, the kind of sets you want to have in this point in the tournament.
Yep.
4-0s aren't all that fun.
Okay, so let's go for the last one.
Yeah, it looks like General's resign rules aren't sensitive enough. Or at least they took a while to kick in. All right, it's the final match. This is going to go exactly as the first match. I know it.
I think that in every cases it will be a fast game because it will be the same scenario that the first game, or it will be a thrush from Pharaon.
Right.
So it should be one-sided, a side or other side. Okay. Here we go.
Looks like they're pretty close together.
Exactly. Let's say that it could be an advantage to Pharaon. And gold is quite exposed for General, but it does have a good edge forest in the back.
That is true. Yeah, gold is pretty bad.
So to trash or not to trash? This is $1 million question here.
Yep, and that basically depends on the feudal age time, right?
Exactly. And not only this, but also a random
Just
number
the
at the
random.
start. Yep.
Yep. And I assume that Aztecs are better than average because of the free loom. I actually don't really know.
Yep. Exactly. Well, as you maybe have noticed, as Mayan it will almost never trash, but as Aztec it can do. It's just because I consider that Mayan is a bit stronger to go for feudal rush, classic feudal rush with better range units. Okay, so it found everything.
Looks like for whatever reason, the Pharaon has more idle time than the General. Just looking at villager numbers.
Yep, in fact. Oh, okay, it trash. It trashes, okay.
All right. Here we go.
Yep. So let's say that the next minutes are gonna be decisive.
Be kind of interesting if one of the towers was built on that cliff formation. That's
Sorry?
like right between their towns. That cliff formation where it looks like almost like a little hill that you can watch from.
I don't get what you mean, sorry, Leif.
So like exactly halfway between the two towns, there's like a cliff form. Some cliffs. It'd be kind of funny if they put a tower on top of that, so
Oh
it look
yeah.
like it's like watching Blue's town. It wouldn't do much, but it would look pretty.
Okay, we had a small reaction from Blue, which looked to be aggressive against those villagers, but
Good news is that Blue built a tower by a watchtower this time that sort of protects one of the golds, but not really.
yep.
We'll see if that helps this time.
So basically Pharaon built its tower in order crossing the enemy's town center in a circle, but when it meets a tower it will change the direction, as you can see. So it will circle in the other side. It means that maybe the milling camp should be touched soon.
Looks like the tower closest to the blue TC is just killing off a bunch of villagers. Blue's, I think it's trying to reduce the town size to prevent that from happening, but it's not working.
Yes, I see. Well, the good news for the general is the fact that the milling camp wasn't touched eventually. Pharaon stopped thrashing just because
Yeah.
the enemy does have a few military population at this point.
Also, good news is that Blue got some Eagle Warriors to follow the retreating villagers, see if those cause some damage or not.
Okay, it attempts a new tower maybe. Oh boy, oh boy. Okay. The point to reach was the enemy's TC, it looks like. Okay, so now let's see how long the Eagle's Warrior from Blue will be busy against those towers.
Yeah. Looks like the tower building is basically done at this point. So it's just down to like how fast can each player boom.
Mm-hmm.
And red will have the advantage because it's not constantly training soldiers to defend.
Well, I didn't realize how many units are already dead on blue side. So, red is eventually in Castle Age.
Looks like blue's trying to save up for a town center. Might even have started one, I'm not sure.
Okay, it looks like this game will be closer than expected.
Yeah. With red training some Mega Wars of its own, those might be pretty strong against blue's trying to defend itself.
Mm-hmm. Well, we've got 4 remaining towers. 3 soon. Both have 2 TCs. Interesting game, honestly. Okay, this TC is definitely not the best for Pharaon. We've got the same civilian population.
Yeah. Looks like red is trying to get into man-at-arms sooner than blue is.
Yep, I hope so, because I wouldn't like those militians to stay militians. $64 civilian population for boss.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that blue can survive here for a little bit. Just like knock down those towers and it'll be good. Keep red's Eagle Warriors from just chasing units around.
Okay, we've got a first raid from red, which comes at time against this castle. Let's see.
Come on, blue. React against this attack, not the palisades. Yeah, if that castle can go up, that'll be big.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so we're back to a normal game for the most part.
Yeah, that's funny.
Red
Okay,
is ahead by both counts.
we've got a long swordsman for Pharaon, which can help
wish that castle was in a different spot.
Yep, in the front would have been better.
But it also might not have been an available spot at the time. So at least it's up.
Okay, Pharaon is not too far from being Imperial Age. A castle should be built pretty soon. I'm curious to see where is gonna be the spot.
Yeah, it might be about it for the general. We'll see. If so, this will be its last match of the tournament.
Yep, I think so. After having leaded during the whole set. Okay, that castle
Then it loses
from
to
Pharaon is
unfair
good.
trash strategies.
Yeah, clearly the game is over. Honestly, I really like this set. Pretty intense.
Yeah, it's been a good set of games.
Okay, Pharaon prefers to go for champions instead of Elite Eagles Warriors as a priority, but we eventually got it coming.
Yeah, it looks like General might be resigning pretty soon. Oh well, but I was glad to see that General was able to stay in the game for as long as it did.
Well,
If it had some um, good trash defense, these sets could have looked a lot different, but we still had some pretty good games.
yeah, it definitely could have been a side or other side. Especially when you think about the first game of that set, in which General did just destroyed Pharaon. So at this stage I would say that the victory was deserved for both of those AIs. Well, I think that
Yeah,
it's
good games.
probably gonna be the closest set in this couch of the finals. Well, Tribal versus Immortal should be one-sided, and maybe Roboom against Shadow can offer a show similar to what we just saw. So the Night Panda should cast Roboom versus Shadow tomorrow, and definitely if he does have time for Tribal versus Immortal, why not? That way we would have the card of the final finished this weekend.
Yep, some exciting games coming up.
So sorry, Leaf, about the IP not working. I guess it wasn't that comfortable to cast in this condition.
Yeah, but it's
Because
still fun. I was kind of enjoying just being able to. It's been a while since I've been able to cast some games, so it's fun to be able to just chat about AIs and be able to watch my AI play.
yeah, I think that
The
it was pretty good moment to talk about our AIs. And
Yep.
okay, so I see that we've got 6 viewers around, so thank you guys for having watched.
Yeah,
And
thank you everyone.
thank you, Leaf, for having casted with me.
Yeah, thank
Uh,
you, Esty, for hosting.
yeah, no problem. And feel free to cast other games here. Despite the fact that the General is no more in the tournament, it's if you can cast for the semi-final and the final, I think that it will be really appreciated.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay, so thank you guys.
All right. Have a good night, everyone.
Yep, bye bye.